Austin, hi. Okay, welcome to Athlete Spotlight, and we're going to kick it off the way we always do, so we're going to put you in the hot seat. All right, so favorite workout?
Glenn.
Okay, do you remember? You want to share what Glenn is? Do you remember?
30 clean and jerks.
Yep.
Mile run, 10 rope climbs, mile run, 100 burpees.
Yep.
But when I did it, it was more like 5 half climbs, and then 5 full climbs. And actually, by the time, so that was last year's benchmark workout.
Yeah.
I never got to 10 full rope climbs by last December, October, whenever the last benchmark was.
Ah, so you have to
but now I
one.
can do 10 rope climbs.
Yeah, so you have to redo that one.
Yeah.
Okay, retest it. Least favorite workout?
Anything with wall balls?
Anything with wall balls. Did you have a pull-up when you started at Roots?
Yeah, 2.
2. And do you know how many you have now? Like how many 1 rep max strict in a row?
14.
14. Hell yeah. Favorite CrossFit nutrition prescription approved meal? It's a mouthful.
A salad.
Salad. Family?
Yep. Wife. We've been married 2 years. Sarah. She
Sarah.
comes to 5. I have convinced her to come to 5:30 now.
You convinced her. There you go. Only to 5:30, or can she come to other hours?
She can come whenever she wants, but she has
That's awesome.
adopted
She's
the
crushing.
5:30 lifestyle.
That's great. Favorite class time to work out?
5:30.
Movement you love the most?
I think handstand walks are the most fun.
Cool. Movement you like the least or know you need to get better at?
Since I've already said wall balls, I'm going to go with dumbbell thrusters.
Okay.
Which is a little weird because I love barbell thrusters.
Okay.
But with the dumbbells, I fall apart.
Yep. Okay. Good awareness on that distinction. Where'd you grow up?
Muscatine, Iowa.
Okay. Where is that?
So basically, it's on the border of Iowa, Illinois.
Okay.
On the Mississippi River.
Okay.
So grew up going on the river a lot, and then I went to undergrad and grad school at Iowa.
Best piece of CrossFit advice you ever received?
Just keep showing up. Be consistent.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, Austin and I are here in our flannels because it is Roots Fall Flat. It's kind of a mouthful. Roots Fall Fashion in Flannel Day.
Should have been Friday. Fall.
I know, that's Halloween.
Friday.
It's true. Yeah, next year, next homecoming. It is homecoming week. All right, so here we go. All right, well, I'm excited you're sitting down with us because I think you have a lot. To share. So let's start with when you started CrossFit. So you're coming up on 2 years.
Yep.
Okay.
In January.
All right. So take me back to January 2023.
2024.
2024. Yes.
That's 2025.
So old gym, but about to move.
Yeah. So I was in I don't know. So I lived in the Peloton.
Right.
Which is on Arapahoe.
Okay.
Which was seriously like, I don't know, 300 meters from the old gym. Mm-hmm. And that's how I stumbled upon Roots. I really had no idea the reputation of Roots.
Okay. Did you know about CrossFit?
I knew about CrossFit. So I'd heard in high school, someone had opened up a CrossFit gym in Muscatine, and they would come into the high school football classes. And based on Wednesdays, we did a CrossFit style workout.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we would do your typical football weightlifting workout. But yeah, so January 2024 started, and it was really a blessing in disguise that Sarah, my wife, had torn her Achilles. Basically,
did you hear that, Sarah?
Yeah, blessing in disguise. Roughly December 30th.
Okay.
So we were playing pickleball with my family. She tore her Achilles, and that kind of just got the ball rolling. And we kind of had a conversation about how a body at rest is going to stay at rest. A body in motion stays in motion.
Okay.
And that was really the kickstart to okay, we like to be active, and we need to treat our bodies that way. Cool. And make sure that we can stay active. That's
a unique come to Jesus moment, if you will.
Yeah.
Why do you think you took that perspective to have that aha moment? Because I think that's unique. I think a lot of people don't connect that staying active, you have to keep moving, right? Why do you think you guys got there?
I think it's because we grew up, so throughout high school, we were both pretty good athletes. And then we both went on to undergrad and went on to grad school. And just with this whatever stress and time that takes, we just kind of put physical activity or fitness to the side to work on getting our degrees and such, furthering our careers. But we still had like that athlete mindset.
Yeah.
That's something that I think doesn't really leave you once you
I agree.
kind of get that set in high school or, young age. And so I can't really speak to like why that was the specific moment other than, I mean, kind of what I said, like it's a very serious injury and it's not like we were doing anything. I think maybe this is it. Actually, it was a serious injury that happened when we weren't doing anything crazy. So like if we can't even go play pickleball without like worrying about hurting ourselves, then like how are we going to, when we're 50, 60 years old, how are we going to pick up our grandchildren or do those types of things?
Cool. No, it's just a really important thing to note. I like what you said about like, if you can't go and just pick up and play pickleball, having not worry about getting injured, like there's a big red flag there of like what you need to do underneath of that. Before we go on, just talk real quick, because I think you guys have paid your dues and spent a lot of time in the academic world. What do you do for work and what does Sarah do for work?
So I'm a professor of accounting, assistant professor of accounting at CU.
Go Buffs.
Go Buffs. And Sarah is an assistant professor of pharmacy it's within the University of Colorado system, but the medical campus and shoots.
Awesome.
A
lot of brain power in that house.
Yeah. Too much sometimes, but that's kind of like one of my, especially Sarah is much better at this, but I have a tendency to overanalyze like even like small decisions.
Yep.
Which can definitely lead to like analysis paralysis. And like, there's so many things, maybe we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
Like even in the gym, like it would seem so simple. Like, so for a while we've known that like my lower back could need strengthening or the whole posterior chain. But it took probably like 3 months to actually like start being consistent and working that as an accessory, just because in my head, I would want the perfect routine. Right. But of course I never had time to make the perfect routine today. So I would say, let's do it tomorrow. But that tomorrow was always pushed off till the next tomorrow. And then so I eventually realized like, you just got to do it, even if it's not,
been in there.
90% consistent is much better than finding the perfect routine.
Hell yeah.
0% of the time, basically.
That's a really good reminder. Just in terms of coming to group class, perfect workout versus, not coming, get
Huge
you 90%.
difference,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go back. So you are living in the Peloton. Sarah has this injury. You guys have this moment. You go and look for a gym.
So I had like...
Or you saw weird people running down the street a lot.
Kind of that. So basically...
Best advertising there is.
Leading up to that point, like I dabbled in some running, basically. Like I trained for a marathon that summer before. Never really, trained for a marathon, but never got beyond 9 miles. So I never ran the marathon. Still haven't ran a marathon, which is on my goal bucket list. But anyway, when I was doing that, and we would kind of take our evening walks, we'd go around the loop there, and we would just see people working out outside. We'd see obviously the CrossFit Roots sign, and
the sign paid off.
So the sign, there you go.
We didn't have a sign for the first 10 years we were open. So that's great.
So walked by, saw it, and okay, I'm gonna. I think I went on the website. Okay. Had a meeting with Amy, and then Sarah always gives me shit for this, but so she had Achilles surgery on January 10th, which is a Wednesday, 2024, and took her to her surgery.
To foundations.
And then my first class with Connor was an hour later, and she was sleeping the whole time. I thought she'd be fine. So.
Yeah. I mean,
so she always makes fun of me for leaving her for my first CrossFit class.
I mean, you got to get it in where you can get it in, Okay, so you do foundations. Did anything surprise you in foundations in terms of what this was going to all be about, or what you were learning, or how you were learning it, or anything like that? Or you're okay, this is straightforward?
I think it was straightforward. I don't know. I've never actually you guys might have figured this out, but so like I'm pretty like a cheap person or value. I like value, I guess, as the
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so at first when I like was trying to join, I like kind of played it off that I'd done CrossFit before, like 8-10 years ago,
right?
Which like I kind of did in high school, but like not CrossFit. And so because I was trying to get out of paying like whatever the foundations.
Oh, right. Yeah. Thing. So you can do experienced athlete if you have CrossFit experience,
right? Or
you can do foundations. Okay, cool.
Keep going. I was kind of trying to get out of that. And I told Amy that during our just one-on-one at the beginning, and then I don't know if she could tell that I was kind of trying to bluff her or what, but she's like, oh, maybe you should just do the foundation. So I did the foundations, and it was so worth it. Like, especially with Connor, like. He was just really like, just a great intro to the gym, like personable, like really made you feel comfortable. And so I did foundation, and that was great. But yeah, I definitely tried to, like, I guess that was part of foundation. That was kind of the uncomfortable part, is like I was half putting on this show that I knew what I was doing when really like, like Connor was trying to show me how to kip or do a kip, and like I couldn't kip.
Right.
And like that's probably a pretty obvious sign
that
you don't have
red flag,
CrossFit experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of my foundations learning experience. It was worth it, and you can't bluff. Knowing CrossFit.
Yes, I mean the two dead giveaways are the kipping pull up, and then when inexperienced athlete, if we say like, okay, go ahead and show us the thruster, and the person's like, oh, what's a thruster? We didn't really do those at my CrossFit gym. I'm like, okay, nope, didn't do CrossFit. Okay, so you get through foundations. And then kind of talk to me about what your normal, like, what was your first 3 months like? How many times a week did you come? What was your soreness like? Did you dive into nutrition? I can't remember where we were on terms of like different challenges and stuff at the time, but what was that first 3 month block like?
So I was basically trying to come at least 3 times, sometimes 4 times a week.
Okay.
Mostly during the week, didn't come during the weekend very often. And that was really kind of limited by, like, to some extent, like recovery. Like going from nothing to CrossFit, and especially, basically it took a little time to be able to, teach my body again, like how to recover from all of this pretty intense exercise. And then... But
you kind of knew it was in there, right? Because you played football in high school.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it was in there. Yeah, I knew I could do it. And I think that's almost like what made the soreness worse to an extent, is that like my body, in like from a strength perspective, I was able to push a little further than maybe like the typical starting CrossFit person, and so that just kind of compounded basically. And I did come in with like a decent level of absolute strength.
Right.
So like I came in pretty early, and like within a couple of weeks we did the first benchmark week of 2024.
Okay. What was the lift that year?
Squatted 365.
All right, that's pretty good, guys. That's pretty good.
And so, absolute strength-wise, was, I could lift heavy.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it for many reps. Couldn't do it fast.
Yeah.
Couldn't, all the skills were non-existent.
Right.
Things of that nature. Nutrition-wise, I guess it was more of like it wasn't a specific plan other than just like eat a ton of protein.
Yep.
And just be smart,
Yeah.
Don't
Let's come back to nutrition, but I want to. So, you come into the gym for 3 months. You've got some stuff. Absolute strength. You've had this athletic background. What was the vibe like for you with everybody else around that? Let's say they were fitter than you. Was that motivating, or was that intimidating, or were you like, fuck these guys? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I think a lot of people, when they first come in, there is that moment where you realize like, oh, there's a lot of stuff I'm not good at. And that can either be motivating or it can be intimidating. Unfortunately, I think a lot of times we find it to be intimidating, almost like a game ender, if you will. Yeah. So like, talk to me about that.
I think it was both.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, again, kind of coming back to the absolute strength, I knew that I had the strength to be at the top of the whiteboard.
Yeah.
But if we would do like a skill thing, I was dead last, like, or even any like type of muscle endurance or really anything other than like back squat, heavy back squat.
Heavy back squats
was
check.
Yeah. And so I think like what I took from that was like what's nice about CrossFit is like across a 2-week span, generally there's gonna be one workout where like you can kind of nail it, at least like you do personal best, like personally nail it and make you feel like, so you got to kind of take the confidence from that workout and carry that over to workouts where you're like, oh man, this is falling apart. This, I can't do, at the time I couldn't do a kipping pull up, or like I couldn't.
Oh yeah, your kip took a little bit of time to get the rhythm.
Couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Other than heavy back squat.
Okay.
Or even like back to the Glen for that first time. I remember I was just doing for rope climbs. I was just doing the like you hold on to it and do like knee raises, and not even like a rope, but just like the double rope things.
Yep.
And I couldn't even, like, I was just doing single, like I'd put my feet on the ground, like kind of just jump up, kind of do a knee raise thing, rest again. Okay. And I don't know, I think I was supposed to do like 50 or 100 or whatever the number was to make it equivalent. And that was just like impossible.
Not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was, but then I could go on the run.
Right.
And like at the time, and still like I'm a fairly good runner. And so it was kind of like, even intra-workout, you're going to find movements where like, okay, I can gain confidence on the run.
Yeah.
And then get smoked on the rope climbs. And then gain confidence again on the run. And then come back and have to do 100 burpees.
Yeah. I mean, you make a good point. We actually make this with the middle school and the teens program a lot, where when you said, over the course of 2 weeks, there's going to be something that you personally can thrive at, right? Relative to the other things you do. And I think that is a lot of what is unique about CrossFit in relation to other things. Like, so with middle school and teens, like if you grow up and you do soccer and you're not good at soccer, well, there's not really a place for you to thrive in soccer, right? And so we get all these sport-specific applications. But with CrossFit, we'll have this happen all the time where, someone comes in and their squat's a mess, and, I'm talking middle school teens, but I guess it applies for adults too, right? And then double under day comes out. And they're like, oh, I did jump rope club in high school or in middle school, and they're really good at it. And so I don't think you get that, those like little peaks of, I've got my win here, and then I got to go work on the other stuff, versus like taking up, I don't know, if you do running for fitness and you're just not good at running, but you're like, well, I got to burn calories, so I got to do this. It's like, well, I'm going to suck at this, and it's just going to be like a long, slow road. So I do think that that's an interesting thing. I didn't think about that on the adult side too. Okay, so I know you brought some numbers, but let's get in a little bit. So in terms of the nutrition stuff, your body composition has changed. Do you have data on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I kind of, in preparation for this, I did a little bit of a overview of my progress, I guess. So in general, the way I did the numbers, on the whiteboard side, I basically just took every Wednesday WOD and kind of looked at my rough place on the whiteboard.
Okay.
And then also did classes attended, weight, and body fat percentage based on in-body.
Okay.
And then I actually just did my first DEXA scan at the beginning of October. So we can kind of get a super accurate measure too. But when I started in January 2024, I weighed 222 pounds.
Okay, January 2024, 222 pounds. And how tall are you?
5'7".
5'7", okay.
And my body fat percentage was 32%.
Did that surprise you when you learned that?
A little bit, but not really. Not really. Not that much.
Yeah.
Maybe if I would have guessed, it would have been 25% or something, but like I knew it was high.
Okay.
But I think even like, I don't know, in your mind, even, until you get concrete numbers, at least for me, until I get concrete numbers for something, I'm a over optimistic person. Okay. And so like, oh, 25%, whatever, that's fine. Like, yeah. But then once I see the number, it's like, oh, that's something we got to take care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 224,
222,
32, 5'7", 32% body fat. That was roughly when you started, or a couple months after?
That was exactly.
Oh, that was exactly.
That was like the foundation.
You did the in-body. Okay. Which I'm going to say this because I think a lot of people, so when people start foundations, they get a free in-body. And I get that can be intimidating. We always try and like make it be about the data and the numbers, right? But obviously coming to a gym and being like, hey, here's your first foundations, get on the scale, like that, there's some, not great optics on that one. But at the same time, we do really try to encourage people to do it within the first couple of months, because then you have that data point for when you do have dramatic change. Yeah. There's a really big kind of, I think, moment of pride to be able to be like, yeah, this is where I was. So that's a plug for doing those starting InBody foundations. Okay, so keep going.
So January, 222, 32%. And then nutrition-wise, nothing like super, like not counting calories, but just basically kind of subbing in a lot of protein for whatever, before I was eating mac and cheese, and now
You were eating mac and cheese?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Okay, yeah. Mac and cheese is like my cheat. Well, growing up, it was like my meal.
My meal.
And it's still like my favorite cheat meal.
Yeah.
Probably.
But not your daily consumption.
Not like, I'm not lying. When in grad school, especially during like the dissertation phase.
Yeah.
I would eat a box of Velveeta mac and cheese 3 times a week.
Okay.
Probably.
All right.
And then like there's also these Geno's East frozen like Chicago style pizzas. Okay. That you could get at the local store in Iowa. And I just went back to Iowa 6 months ago and looked at I was kind of going to reach in to grab one, and then I looked at the calorie count, and like one 8-inch frozen pizza, which I would eat just for like a dinner. So I'd have other food on top of this during the day. Is like 2,600 calories.
What? That's crazy.
And so like looking back now, it's kind of, I don't know, I guess it's a testament or kind of crazy like how far.
Yeah. The slippery slope.
Yeah. The slippery slope is.
Had you ever looked, I'm guessing in that process of grad school, you never looked at the back of the box to be like, oh, this is like 3 meals.
Not in that mindset.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, like
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I just didn't think about thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like thinking about the calories.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And then then I did one 3 months later, an InBody. So within 3 months, I was down 18 pounds and down to 22% body fat.
Okay, yeah, 10% body fat. Yeah, great. Dropped 10% body fat.
And so I think if I remember roughly, it was like roughly dropped 20 pounds of fat and gained like a pound or 2 of muscle in the first 3 months.
Great, okay.
3 months after that, July 2024, I dropped another 10 pounds to 193, 194.
Okay.
Down to 19% body fat. Okay. So that one I did sacrifice a tiny bit of muscle. It was basically down like...
That's 6 months in.
6 months in.
Yeah, okay.
I dropped 30 pounds and 14% body fat. Or you can kind of think about it as like I had dropped 40% of my starting body fat.
Yes. Of your starting body fat.
I almost lost half of all the body fat.
Too. Okay.
That I'd started with within 6 months.
Okay.
Since then, so that was July 2024. Since then, my weight has been relatively kind of up and down, stable.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much in detail, but my muscle mass has gone up. Yeah. So July 2024, I was 194 at 19% body fat. Now at my DEXA scan, I was 190, but at 11% body fat.
11% body fat.
So basically same weight, but dropping 8% body fat.
So building muscle mass.
Yeah.
On top of that, which I think is a big, people always will want, what's our goal, right? We want to drop body fat percentage, but we also don't want to lose our muscle mass. All right, you dropped body fat percentage, and at the same time, then once you got to kind of that sweet spot, now you've held the same weight, but you've been able to put on muscle mass in that time, which is awesome and amazing. How does that feel?
Great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see those numbers.
And like part of it too was I'll say like 2024. So last year, like I was pretty into it, like CrossFit, nutrition, fitness in general, but didn't really take like a scientific approach. I was showing up to class, eating protein, and like occasionally would count calories, but for the most part, it was just like intuition. Mm-hmm. And then I think this January, I really started to count calories, plan my meals.
Okay.
Things
This
of that nature.
January.
This January.
Okay. And why then?
Honestly, not sure.
Okay.
I think it was kind of a post turkey challenge thing.
Yeah.
So last November, I was convinced, or I actually got, you convinced everyone kind of in class, and I then convinced a team to get together for the turkey challenge. And that went like just prep for the turkey challenge was like kind of a stair step in thinking about CrossFit competitively, but just getting better in general. And the comp went really well.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of a deep dive into the next step of the journey. But January really kind of started getting into the data, I guess.
Yeah, because you got pretty lean. Almost, I mean, we use when we look at CrossFit and we look at nutrition, when we say too lean is when we start to see your performance dip. Right? So there, as you're losing body fat, your performance was going up, but then you got to a point where, you're basically eating the same amount of food, but now your body didn't have enough to thrive on the performance stuff, right? Yeah. So eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Keep intake to that which will support exercise and not body fat. So if it stops supporting exercise, right, and your fitness. And so if I remember correctly, you saw a little bit of dip and it was like, okay, now I got to start adding food back in. Yeah.
So from January to April, I was on a very severe cut.
Yeah.
Really because I was just, I'd been cutting essentially for not the strict cutting, but, trying to lose weight for 15 straight months. And I was just ready to like get that last 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I went on a pretty severe cut January to April, got down to 182. And at that, for those 2 weeks kind of that I was at that 180, the bottom mark, running felt great.
How'd your clean feel?
But everything else felt shitty. Like I think actually we did a back squat day. And that was kind of the come to Jesus moment of like, okay, I need to like.
Was that at the old gym?
Fueling. No, that was here.
Okay.
So
because that was this January, or the one before. Okay, got it.
So this was just, 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And I recently, before cutting, my max back squat was up to like 445.
Okay.
And I was only able to like barely get 405.
Yeah. So you went from 365 to 445 in like a year months. And 9 months. Okay.
And then 6 months after 445, during this cut phase, it went down to 405.
Okay.
And that was kind of like, okay, I need to start. I've hit my body fat, goal.
Right.
And now I can start working back.
Okay. Cool. What's your back squat now?
At the comp I just did with Dave and Mike, I hit 435.
Nice.
And I think I'd say 435, 445.
Great.
It's right there.
That's awesome. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about performance, unless you have more stuff about nutrition. How's your energy feel? Let's just go to that. Like from you've got kind of an office day, right? You said you only teach in the spring.
Teach in the spring.
Okay. So what was it like? What did you notice outside of the gym when you started changing your nutrition? Obviously, your composition and all that's changing as well. But like from that office day and just your normal everyday life, like did you feel better? Did you have more energy? Did you feel like?
So I started feeling like shit.
Yeah.
During like this, the 182 weeks basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was actually tough. Like it's kind of like hard to focus, concentrate. Okay. Like by the end, so especially because, I'm up at 4:30 or whatever. By the time noon rolls around, really.
Right.
It was getting, it was just hard for me to do my job, essentially. And then once I started, adding back calories, I just feel so much better.
Yeah.
In the gym, outside the gym, we just did like that rowing wall walk workout. That was probably like the best I've felt on a rower in a long time, just in the sense that I didn't drop off super severely.
Yeah.
Because even though I've gotten out of the cut, since April or whatever, still probably like half of the weeks I have cut back on my calories quite a bit.
Okay.
Because I have a really bad tendency of like when I travel or go back to, basically if I'm in routine, I can nail it.
Yep.
But once I go back to Iowa or whatever, do something, get out of routine, I'll easily consume, like if I'm in Iowa, I basically consume like 4,500 to 5,000 calories a day over the weekend.
Yep.
So then I like get in the cycle of going back to Iowa, overeating, and then the next week trying to make up for that using calorie deficit.
Yep.
And then feeling like shit during workouts. And then like by the time I actually offset those 4 days of super high caloric intake, then it's like time I'm going to go back to, I'm already like going. Yeah. And so I think that's like my next goal or next stair step function in progress is still like, I can, when I go back to Iowa, I can have fun.
Right.
But I just don't need to, instead of 5,000 calories, consume 3,000.
Yeah, there you go. Well, but I do think like that is the next step, right? So you know the basics now. Yeah. You know what you need to be doing. Then the application becomes the challenging part. And, hundreds of people over the years have had that exact same thing of like, I'm doing so great when I'm here and I've developed my routine. I come to class at 5:30 and I know what I'm packing for lunch. Man, but then I go home. And, there's so many different factors, right? When we go home, whether it's from like social expectations or just the foods that our peers or our family eat that we have taken out. But that's like a normal next step. But I think also too, just having the awareness of how to rudder adjust, right? That is the starting point, right? And it is saying like, if you're going to go crazy on the weekend, not, super crazy, but you know what I mean? Like, moderately there is moderately crazy. There is an adjustment period. And I think that's like a healthy awareness of just understanding like how this all works, and making trade-offs and things like that. So I'm sure it'll get better every time you go to Iowa. Seriously.
I do. And that was even the last time. So we were just back, 10 days ago. Yeah. And that one was much better than like even the time before and the time before that.
Yeah.
And so
I think also too, I don't know if you find this, but now there's foods that I would have eaten when I went home that I just literally just have no desire to eat anymore. It's not like I have to say no to them. I'm just like, I'm not interested in that, you know? Okay. So let's talk about workouts, because I know you got some data on workouts too. Okay.
Keep getting off track of the workouts.
That's okay.
So I get the sense, and so I guess I data person, like seeing the data. And so I thought I would go back and just kind of look at, every Wednesday WOD. If I didn't show up on Wednesday, I'd just pick the closest WOD, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever.
Great.
And then of course, like all the RX were places ahead. And then like if I was in the scaled, so it'd be whatever. There are 20 people did RX. I did 20th within scaled. Then I would say that was like 40th.
Okay.
And we can talk about a little bit how like some of these numbers in the middle that might not be super accurate because of like how just development or progress goes, but that's
a big picture. How many data points do you have?
95 weeks. So 95 weeks.
95 Wednesdays, everybody.
Let's just say the first 6 months, I averaged about 28th on the whiteboard, going anywhere from like 57th is the highest one that I can kind of see here, which I think was seriously just like dead last.
57th, also known as dead last. Okay, good.
And then like here, like the third weekend, it was 6th, but I remember that's because that was back squat or was squat day.
Outliers. Yeah. Outliers.
And on that same day that we had 6th on back squat, I was 47th within the like pull up, like muscle up, pull up.
Complex.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. And then kind of looking at the data, I took a pretty sharp improvement on the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. So between 6 months in and 9 months in, I went from roughly 27th to 30th down to between 15th and 20th. So about a 10 place kind of improvement along this was kind of like the turkey challenge prep, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So kind of took a step forward there. And then over the next, from September 2024, so 9 months in up until this March, so about 6 months, the performance on the whiteboard was pretty flat, bouncing between 10th and 20th, essentially. Okay. And part of that, I think, is it's not super accurate, I think, in what my actual progress was, simply because, like, within scaled, so I couldn't RX stuff yet.
Okay.
But within scaled, I was, like, just below the RX weight, right? So, like, imagine if, I don't know, whatever, heavy thrusters, RX 135, I was doing 125, 115 or whatever. And from a time performance perspective, performing worse than maybe someone who scaled to 95, 85.
Right.
So it's like a little...
Yep.
not apples to apples necessarily. But I think I was making good progress there. But then really made some good progress. So 15th this March down to 10th kind of by this May or June. Yeah. So about 3 months. And then really the last 4 or 5 months, I went from averaging about 10th on the whiteboard to consistently top 5.
People get kind of geeked out about, am I doing an RX? Am I not? It seems like you really kind of steamrolled that distinction of being critical to yourself, but then at the same time using it to have a goal and like wanting to be higher up on the leaderboard. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it becomes this thing of like, oh, I scaled, right? Or I can't do this workout RX. But there was like a bigger picture perspective for you. It wasn't, but I think a lot of times we get lost that like the competitiveness is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it drives you forward. Right. And so you can look at one day and be like, oh, I wasn't, I want to be on the leaderboard, or I'm at the bottom of the leaderboard or whatnot. But there is that underlying competitiveness that does push you forward. You didn't see any of this as a negative. It was more just like, from where you were starting, it was like, 47th on the whiteboard. I'm not going to anything else anymore with wall balls in it.
Right. Yeah. No. So I think that's an important distinction. So I think like this is the first time, like just for this was the first time that I've like gone back and looked at it. It's not like I just like track this on a week to week basis.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it's a good distinction, and this was kind of something I did want to caveat or talk about too, is the whiteboard I think can be a good motivator, but it can't be the goal in and of itself. So like if you all of a sudden start thinking about the whiteboard placement as the goal, end goal, then I think it's like that's not a good outcome
for sure.
And so like throughout this process, but I think looking back, like kind of like this, looking back, it's a good signal of progress, but it's not a good goal by itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a part of the goal, but I think a lot of times athletes will focus only on the goal, right?
Right. Or like you can't game the system, right? I guess like it would be like you said, like, oh, it's not going to help you if you're like, oh, I'm stuck with wall balls and I know I'm going to get 47th, so I'm not going to show up. Right. Like that's not the point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so I mean, it is a good point where you need to have some level of digging in and seeing more depth to what that data shows within the whiteboard. And obviously, like within the whiteboard, there's so many different layers. Like you could say, if you got to the point where you could do some workouts RX, but that you're at the top of the leaderboard when you do scaled, right? But then by going to RX, now you're kind of you're toward the bottom of the leaderboard, but you're still within the time domain and you're still getting that. Well, you need to be there at RX, right? And so there's all these different sort of built-in things that, again, if we try to game the system for the whiteboard placing, it is going to have an impact on your fitness because you're not going to get the variance day to day of, okay, this is my best effort scaled, and based on what the coaches are saying today, this is my best effort and I need to go RX. And then that just slowly drives you forward. The whiteboard's like an interesting psychology study, right?
I also think like, and I don't know if this is necessarily what, from a coaching perspective, what you want to hear, but like I feel like that RX, like basically I think I had the general thought process when I was going through it, or still going through it, is like, if I can get close to RX, even if I'm going to take twice as long as the whoever's first in my class or whatever, like I'll do that. Like if I can finish it within like roughly the time domain that is expected, then I think it's best to push yourself to do it. Yeah,
I second that as from the coaching perspective.
Or even like, and I guess maybe the caveat about the coaching perspective thing is that sometimes I would say, like, especially, when I was like in whatever this 6 months ago, right? I was kind of in this place where there were a decent amount of workouts where if I went RX, I was being a little over optimistic that I was going to be within the time domain. Yeah. And so I'd end up like I'd be the last person within the class still working. Right. And like a good example of that is like DT. Where like
I remember that
people just watched me work out for like 6 minutes because everyone else was done in 7 to 9 minutes. Right. And I just started failing my cleans.
Right.
And everyone just watched me for 6 minutes, which is fine. Like, right. It's really not that big a deal.
Yeah, it was fine. No, it was fine. And I want to second this, because I think this is where athletes, we this is where, like, the process isn't black and white. So we have this parameter that we work to get everybody in, because it keeps athletes safe as they develop. It keeps us biasing the intensity for that specific workout, so we get variance of intensity over a week and a month and a year, right? And so we set those parameters. But then within each athlete, there has to be days where you push it and you sit there with a barbell, and there has to be days where you're like, no, you just need to go faster. We're actually going to lighten this barbell. We're not going to say, like, oh, if it takes me a little bit longer, if I'm in the slower end of RX, like, okay, that's not maybe the best. And so there is nuance within those things. And I think the difference would be is if you started CrossFit, 22 months ago, and you had the strength to do DT, RX, but it was going to take you 27 minutes, 24, who knows what it would have taken you then. And that was how you started CrossFit, was always biasing and so every time you're doing it, you're punting the timeline. Now your intensity goes to shit, right? We're not getting that. And so then over time, now when you think about the wear and tear on your body, and you talked about being super sore, like, that wasn't operating within the parameter for, like, good, healthy athletic development. And so if you look at it into extremes, right? But no, if you look at it in extremes, you can see where, like, okay, that wouldn't be a good application of trying to do constantly varied functional movements, execute at high intensity on a daily basis. But then I think this is where the beauty of CrossFit does, like, bleed into sport, is that, whether you're, an athlete that's on the field and you want to be able to get this play done, and you have to run it 15 times before you get it that one time, and that's your win for the day. Okay, that's a good thing. That's the beauty of the competition, right? Like, you go, and why do you PR? Because maybe you got a little bit more adrenaline, and you try that clean 2 more times and you get it. Whereas, yes, in the structure of a group class hour, we're not always going to have that time. So I don't think those things are bad at all. They just can't be the norm every day. Nobody wants to watch you work out for 6 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that is true. Nobody does want to watch me work out for 6 minutes at the end of every class.
But I do think there's a ton of value in that, and also that's a, like, athlete coach relationship conversation of, like, hey, this might be pushing it a little bit. Like, we knew that. Yeah. You and I even talked about it, right? Yeah. But it's like, yeah, are you going to move safe? Yes. Do I have any concerns with that? 0. Is it going to be maybe 3 or 4 minutes beyond the timeline that we want? Or do you end up 7 more?
The score was
minutes?
12, 15.
Okay, but let's talk about the progress.
Yeah.
Because didn't you retested it since then?
Yeah.
And so talking about that.
Improved by, like, it was over a third faster. So I think it was either like 12 down to like 8 something, or even 7 something. Mm-hmm. And still room for improvement, but, like, in that, like, the DT thing. So I think that was a combination of fitness, mm-hmm. but also up until I failed DT, basically, I refused or just didn't do hook grip. And that's what failed on DT is, like, mm-hmm. I couldn't even pick up the bar for, like, a deadlift, basically. And so then over the next, 3-4 months, whatever, before the next benchmark, I would hook grip everything in class. And I, even at, like, some points, just, like, for fun or whatever, for fun, I would, like, hook grip my steering wheel.
Yeah.
And
there you have it, everybody. This is the key to faster DT time, is hook grip your steering wheel. No, but like, think of all the things that are in that story of, like, okay, so you had that experience where it took longer than you wanted, but in that process, you identified the thing that was your weakness within that workout. Then you took the initiative to spend 3 to 4 months hook gripping, which, I'm sure that made one workout that you had to go a little bit lighter weight, because you're like, no, I'm gonna make sure that I do the hook grip on this. And then you come back, and now, you crush it by, making it a third faster. I don't think you get to that point if you don't kind of go butt up against failure in that DT and kind of figure that out. And again, though, like, when we say failure, it's like, it's still within the realm, like a 27-minute DT. I don't think we're learning. I think that's punting that perspective. But yeah, within that realm, no, I think that's good. Good stuff there. Okay, so leaderboard going down, placement going down. What would you say, where do you want to go next? Like, what are your goals? Like, I know you're doing a competition soon.
So Katie and I are doing a competition in 2 week and a half.
Cool. Yeah.
And like that competition's already been a win to an extent in my book. Cool. So like 3-4 weeks ago when Katie and I decided to do it, Katie was pretty good at like consistently getting a bar muscle up single or single bar muscle up. About half of the times that I would try a single bar muscle up, I could get it. Half the time I couldn't.
Okay.
But then one of the early workouts announced has a lot of bar muscle ups in it. And so Katie and I have been working on our bar muscle ups. After class, we had a personal training session with Megan. And like today we ran through one of the workouts and Katie's strung together her first.
Hell yeah.
Double.
Yep. Sweet.
And I've been able, now I can do consistent singles and can string together between 3 and 5, depending on fatigue, basically.
That's awesome.
So it's already like, and that bar muscle ups were like, even before the comp was like my next skill that I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And so just having like this little bit of push of like, okay, here's a deadline of November 9th. Mm-hmm. If you can't do bar muscle ups on November 9th, you're going to look like a fool because you're going to walk out there and just stare at the bar or, do some chest to bar, basically things where you like, just bounce off the bar and don't really do anything. And so just like that urgency, I think, whatever. We both have improved quite a bit in our bar muscle ups.
I saw you guys out there today. You look fast. Okay. And then, so you've obviously made a shit ton of progress in 2 years, right? Was there any point where you're like, fuck this, I don't want to do it anymore? Were you like, from a frustration standpoint? Because you've been frustrated, right? Like with just like performance stuff, you're like, I want to get better. Not bad frustrated, but just, you get that point where like, I want to fix this, right? So like, why do you think you have that perspective? Like, how do you help other people like understand because you said something in the beginning, like what's the best piece of CrossFit advice you've ever received? Consistency. Yeah. Like, how do you what do you do in those moments where you're like, like how do you drive the consistency and keep going back to like, keep showing up?
I think it is just like it's a little easier said than done. Yeah. It depends on your skill set, but like each workout, or at least like within a week, like I always look, forward to, there's always one full workout that I look forward to. And then even within a workout, there's typically a movement that I'm like, okay, I'm going to kill this one.
Yep.
Might struggle on the wall balls. Mm-hmm. So like was last week, Tuesday or something. Yeah. Was the like muscle up, wall ball, burpee, box jumps, I think, or overs. Yeah. Okay. And like for that one I like wall balls, like they're the one exercise, movement, whatever, that I don't have the mental edge. Like, interesting. It mentally defeats me almost before.
I want to go look at your wall ball. We're going to move this outside and go look at Austin's wall ball.
But everything else, like, I don't know, I just have like this, attack mindset in the sense that like, whatever the workout is, like I'm going to look forward to it. I'm going to crush it and just go as hard as I personally can.
Right.
And I think like sometimes too, like back, you're kind of talking about the competitiveness. Like I would say I'm very competitive, but it's never in a sense, like I want to beat people, not because they perform poorly, but because I just killed it. Mm-hmm. And so like, even within workouts, like me and Mike or whatever going at it, like I want Mike to be going as hard and like as successful as he can, because I want to beat him at his best. Like it's not really that satisfying to beat somebody when they like perform poorly.
Yeah. Oh, I just got over the flu. You're like,
oh, great. Okay. That's how I beat Mike. Okay. That's how I beat Dave. And so like just having that mindset of like, I don't know, attacking the workouts and trying to lift everybody up, I think is a big thing in my mind.
Let's close out on, you have 530 has its own specific vibe, right? I mean, good vibe, right? But like you guys are, there is a good group of you that like, really are trying to push it. There's an energy when you walk in. It's 5:30 in the morning. Why do you think you guys all landed on? Because I would say that my perception is that all the other people that you're maybe competing with, right, also have that mindset. Like you guys are all in it together in the sense that everyone's trying to beat everybody else, but there is this kind of, you're all just throwing down and going after, like, because I think a lot of times people think that the competitive thing means that you have to like not like the person, or there's like this, I don't know, I'm not even gonna use the word like the meathead vibe of like, but you guys don't. It's more like you're all on a team and you're just trying to beat each other for the day. Why do you think that developed? Because you didn't know anybody when you got here.
No, I didn't know anybody. I don't know how. I mean, I think it's part of the culture of like just walking in. So like when I started, a lot of like the even more experienced Roots people, like Doug and Brannigan, like for the first probably 4 or 5 months, like those were my guys. Like when I showed up to class, I felt much more comfortable if Doug and Brannigan were there, just because I would always know like they'd give me a pat on the back, like they were kind of like in for it. And then over the last year or so, we've had like Crocs and Risma. Ian joined from the guy side. Even like Rogus just started coming, and I think I don't know how it developed, other than like that's just who those people are. Yeah. Like we just have a team mindset. Yeah. We're all like part of the Roots team. Yeah. And if we can push each other to get better, like just everyone gets better, right? Yeah. There's no animosity. Like we love hanging out outside of class. I don't know, just at least personally, I love watching people like push themselves beyond what they think is possible. And that can be like whatever, Crocs killing it in Fran, or like today I was lifting with Scott, benching with Scott, and he said he'd never, like basically he was kind of hoping for like 205, and he ended up putting up 225 like super easily. And
wait,
so
which
like
Scott?
I don't know his last name.
Tall Scott?
No.
Not Tall Scott.
No.
Oh, cool.
My little taller than me, Scott, but not like, I wouldn't consider him tall. Everyone's tall for me, but and so like that was just like, I don't know, great way to start the morning. I was like, oh wow, he just came in here, kicked ass, got better. Like you could see like on his face, he was like
pumped,
loving it. Yeah. And so like that's a win, not only for him, but also like a win for me in the sense that like, oh, like people are getting better. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm super thankful for you guys in the morning, because I think that the vibe that you guys have set is, it's like you can do both, where you guys are all trying to kill it, and you are still, from my perspective, like genuinely thrilled and excited for somebody when they're putting up 225 when they thought it was 205, and they get their first pull up or their first bar muscle up or whatever. And I think that just has like a giant trickle down effect when you guys are setting the tone, and which is awesome and super fun to watch. I mean, I love watching you guys throw down. But then also just like how that affects just everybody else's experience. So thanks for that. That's awesome.
It's been awesome. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to touch on?
Just one thing, and it's like a pet peeve of mine.
Oh yeah, this is good.
And I hope that people know if I'm talking about them or not.
Okay, this is great.
But like my one biggest pet peeve in class is like if we're running any distance, 400, 200, something with a turnaround, and people cut it like 2 feet short. Like not, like, I don't know, just such a clear, like you're going to do 99.9% of the work. Yeah. And then cut it like 2 feet short, which really doesn't matter, like time-wise or anything. But it just like, I am judging you. Yeah. Like internally.
I'm really proud of Austin right now, you guys. You have no idea the amount of pride that I have right now. No, you're absolutely right. Like, so there you have it.
That's that's a good way to end, I guess.
I think it's a great way to end.
Don't cut your run short.
Don't cut your run short, because you'll cut everything else short in life. All right.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.